Hello everyone, with Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, October 7, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems, that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak of Atlantic hurricane season. That's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related questions that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let's just take a look at the US National Hurricane Center 7-day graphical tropical weather look. And we're lucky that we can see it because it definitely crashed out today. The website crashed for sure. It was actually trending on Twitter. Persons talking about breaking news. The Hurricane Center's website has crashed. And it makes sense because there are a lot of persons who are following Milton becoming a major category 5 hurricane on its way to Florida. And we know that we have a lot of people who live in Florida in general. So I'm surprised this doesn't happen a lot, and it definitely crashed out today. These things do happen. So we have Milton as of their latest update that just came out at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, which is actually 6:55 p.m. Jamaica time. So this just came out 15-20 minutes ago. We have a new era of disturbed weather right here off the southeastern coast of Florida that could develop as it pushes towards the east-northeast. We have Hurricane Leslie still across the northern portion of the main development region, and to the east of Leslie, that other area that still hasn't exited the coast of Africa as yet, but it still has a low chance of development within the next 7 days. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite images, we can make out all of these entities. We have Milton right here, quite the formidable category 5 hurricane. The clouds associated with what's expected to develop as it pushes towards the east-northeast to the northeast of the Bahamas within the next 7 days. The clouds associated with Hurricane Leslie right there across the northern portion of North Atlantic. And the clouds associated with the tropical wave still haven't exited the coast of Africa as yet, but could develop as it pushes towards the northwest. And we can see that we still have the leftover clouds associated with Kirk, which is now post-tropical, so we don't see the Hurricane Center issuing anything else about Kirk, considering that it has lost its tropical characteristics, but it still could affect portions of Europe very soon. If we take a closer look at the details regarding Milton, this update just came out at 7 p.m. and as of their latest update, he's packing maximum sustained winds of 180 miles per hour. That makes him a high-end category 5. Well, not high-end. I guess 200 mile per hour wind would suffice as high-end. So 180, definitely quite the formidable category 5 hurricane. Definitely a bad situation in general. Anything above 157 miles per hour, that's a category 5, and Milton is way above that. And this is what has a lot of people talking about maybe having a category 6 or whatever the case may be, but this is the Saffir-Simpson wind scale. This is as bad as it gets, all the way from tropical depression all the way up to category 5. We don't want to witness a category 5 hurricane. That is just tremendously ridiculous in general. And if we take a look at the infrared satellite images, look at this hurricane just spinning like one of those what do you call those things, those fidget spinners in general. That buzzsaw like look to the clouds. High cold cloud tops as represented by the blues, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, the reds, the blacks, the grays, the purples. And look at the eye. The eye is definitely a needle-sized pinhole eye in general. Portion of the Yucatan Peninsula right here definitely getting in on some bad weather. Even that little island right here to the north of the Yucatan Peninsula, although I've done my research, there isn't much of a population on that island at all. People just usually visit for visiting sake. Only temporary people are there, and they usually go back to the mainland. More than likely, it is vacant as we speak. Hopefully so, because Milton is about to do a number on those islands right there as it pushes towards the east and then eventually to the northeast towards Florida. And if we go back to the statistics regarding Milton, we can see that as of the latest update, he's moving towards the east at 10 miles per hour. And we can see that he's expected to remain an M. That stands for major hurricane all the way up to landfall on 1 a.m. on Thursday, at 1 a.m. on Thursday. Then exiting the east coast of Florida as a hurricane. So it should undergo some downgrading in the strength all the way back to hurricane status, maybe category 2 if not category 1, and then as it makes its way towards the east, possibly, who knows, maybe affecting Bermuda later on down the line by Saturday. We'll see how that goes. As of right now, we have the reds that represent hurricane warnings up for the Yucatan Peninsula, even a tropical storm warning up in the blue, even the pinks for portions of there that represents hurricane watches. And look at Florida now. Lots of blues, lots of reds that represent hurricane warning and tropical storm warnings. On the east side, we see the pinks, hurricane watches, tropical storm watches. Definitely going to be a bad situation if this system actually makes landfall as a major hurricane, because it's not just going to be about the wind and the rain and the power outages and the damage, but the storm surge is expected to be anywhere between 10 to 15 feet in some spots on the west coast of Florida. That is just ridiculous. Most of us are below 6 foot in height, and if the wave that this hurricane is going to be producing is going to be anywhere from 10 to 15 feet, it's going to be ridiculous. Lots of flooding in general, all of this water coming in to land, just like what a tsunami would do. It's definitely just going to be a very bad situation in general, which explains why so many persons are actually heeding the warnings and are evacuating as we speak to higher ground. And if you have relatives or friends in Tampa, please ensure that they're getting out of there as soon as possible. I don't know, charter an Uber, a Lyft, take the bus, get out of there. It's going to be very bad, especially if this system remains an M that stands for major hurricane. And we can see that the probability of tropical storm force winds have gone up. Yesterday we saw more oranges and reds. Now we're starting to get into the purples, which increases the chances that tropical storm force winds are definitely expected right there across the west coast of Florida, all the way up to hurricane force wind in general. The purples that represent 90% chance. And it's not only that, but the rainfall. So it's not just going to be about the saltwater flooding from the Gulf of Mexico, but even the freshwater flooding from all the rainfall that's expected from Milton. Look at all of this, the greens, the yellows, the oranges, that represents anywhere from 1 all the way up to 8 inches of rainfall. It could even be more ridiculous, more tremendous in some isolated spots, exceeding the 8 inches and going even above that. It's just going to be a very bad situation in general. And we know when it comes to these hurricanes, the water is the biggest problem, not necessarily the winds, the water, whether it be from the flooding or from the storm surge. So I hope that persons are actually taking this system very seriously. Let's switch gears and focus our attention on that other system right there to the east of Florida. We can see that as of right now, the hurricane center state, an elongated area of low pressure located across portions of South Florida, the Florida Straits, and the northwestern Bahamas, is expected to move northeastward into the southwestern Atlantic by tomorrow. Some additional tropical or subtropical development is possible while the low moves northeastward to east-northeastward around 15 miles per hour. However, upper level winds are likely to increase by Wednesday, which should limit any further development after that time. And we see that they've given it both a 20% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days as well as within the next 7 days. Let's push eastward now and talk more about Leslie. Leslie is still a hurricane, packing maximum sustained winds of 80 miles per hour. So she's still a category 1. We know category 1 strength. These hurricanes have anywhere from 74 to 95 miles per hour. So she's right there. She's still an 80 mile per hour hurricane as we speak. We can see her right here still pushing from east to west, more so east, southeast, west, northwest, or from southeast to northwest in general. We can see that she's nothing like what Milton looks like. Definitely kind of a sloppy mess. More of the clouds associated with her on the northern side. And we see the burst of convection right there. She's trying to get her act together, but she's definitely struggling. Some wind shear, some Saharan dust could be definitely affecting her as we speak. And we see that as of their latest update, she is moving towards the northwest at 14 miles per hour. And she's expected to downgrade as early as 2 p.m. on Tuesday back to an S. And we know the S represents tropical storm status in general. And then we see her making another turn, then back to a northeastern, similar to what Hurricane Kirk did. So she's gonna be a fish storm as well. If we take a look at the other system to the east of Leslie now, we can see that the hurricane center stated here a tropical wave is expected to move off the west coast of Africa in a couple days. Afterward, environmental conditions appear only marginally favorable for some limited development of this system while it moves westward or west-northwestward across the eastern tropical Atlantic, crossing the Cabo Verde Islands on Thursday or early Friday. And was that they've given it a 0% chance of cyclone formation within the next 2 days and a 20% chance of cyclone formation within the next 7 days. And either one of these code yellows develop, maybe getting a code orange, getting a code red, and eventually develop. We know that the next name after Milton is Nadine, followed by Oscar. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully there's nothing else that comes after Milton. Hopefully all we get is just numerous troughs or tropical waves that bring rainfall than anything else. Not flooding, but rainfall, not strong winds and storm surge. Just rainfall to keep the temperatures down and to keep water in our pipes. On another note, we still have the remnants of Kirk right there pushing all the way off screen. Look at that. Quickly degrading in a sense, not looking like how it used to look a week ago. Definitely losing all of its tropical characteristics as it races off towards the northeast, towards Europe. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can see that we have a ridge of high pressure right here to the northwest of Africa. That's what's responsible for steering Leslie in general. Don't see much of a high pressure ridge right here across the Caribbean at all. We see more low pressure trough systems maintaining the weather in general, which explains why we don't have that strong easterly flow of winds across the Caribbean. It's more so from the south as we speak, and I'm going to be showing you that a little later on. But let us see what's happening on the visible satellite images. We can see the clouds associated with the trough attached to numerous areas of low pressure. And by the end of this, to the western end of it, we have Milton right there spinning away to the northwest of the Yucatan Peninsula. And we can see Leslie right there spinning away. And for the most part, majority of the Caribbean is fear, just some isolated thunderstorms across portions of the eastern Caribbean. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean to the later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Monday, October 7, 2024. It was stated that parts of eastern, central, and western parishes, and especially northern parishes in Jamaica, would have received some afternoon rainfall on Monday. And just for reference, We know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, like Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston, St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, like St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, like St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, and Trelawney. While northern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on top, like Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland. And what ended up happening? As early as 2:16 p.m., the visible satellite image was posted here on our Twitter page. And I want for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at Weather.Jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us, because we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. And we can definitely see what took place. The visible satellite image was showing that we had some clouds building, especially across sections of some northern parishes. So we definitely had that across sections of some eastern parishes, some western parishes, and even some central parishes, because we definitely had some isolated showers across portions of Clarendon, Manchester, section of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, section of inland areas of eastern Jamaica, like northeastern St. Andrew, southern Portland got in on some of the action as well. And it was definitely from that southerly flow across the island. We have a lack of easterlies because we don't have a ridge of high pressure across our area at all. So it's more so from the south, and we're going to be getting in on that more southerly flow all week long. So we might just get some amount of rainfall coming in from the south on the south coast as we progress throughout the week. Look out for those rainfall amounts increasing, especially during the mornings, and then especially during the afternoon for northern Jamaica, where we have all of the air piling up, just like what we saw today. That's what we're going to be seeing all week. That's the pattern for this week in general. And as the day was progressing, the visible satellite images were posted again at around 4:05 p.m., still highlighting some clouds, bringing some isolated thunderstorms, and we saw the sparkling yellow dots that we know represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes, across sections of St. James, sections of Manchester, St. Anne, section of St. Mary as well, gotten on some of the isolated thunderstorm activity. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the summer down, we can definitely see the flow. Look at the clouds pushing from south to north. More so from the southwest on the eastern side, but we can definitely see it right here. More so from the south or southwest to northeast. And then we saw all of that air piling up with the thunderstorms across northern Jamaica. And we can also see that when we had those clouds becoming cumulonimbus clouds, we saw the high cold cloud toss being blown off towards the southwest by that upper level wind shear, just as predicted, bringing more overcast skies to section of some southern parishes as well. And we can see it all even better on the infrared satellite images, showing the high cold cloud tops as represented by the blues, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, as well as the sparkling white dots that we know represent a amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. So we definitely had the thunderstorm activity across portions of St. Anne, St. Mary, sections of Trelawney, St. James for sure. But right here on See Jamaica's YouTube channel, the flat bridge camera showed that we didn't have much in the way of anything at all. People in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely sunny for the most part. River not even in spate to signal that we didn't have much in the way of rainfall across this portion of the island today, with that southerly flow, with all of the air piling up across the north coast for the most part. It makes sense that we didn't get on much action across this part of Jamaica today. And keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, you can visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They show live streams of Flat Bridge, Halfway Tree, Crossroads, Barbican, the Kingston Harbor, and it's always here and showing in general live for you all to see. And they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have in and around the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. If we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology website. This map does indeed paint a picture of where we had the rainfall, though it's not 100% accurate. It does show that we definitely had the rainfall in the very spots that we just saw in the visible satellite images. Portions of St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, section of St. Mary, as well as portion of northern Manchester for sure got in on today's brunt of rainfall. And if we take a look at the very latest infrared satellite image, if it will load, because these websites that I normally use have been crashing out all day because of persons, congesting the servers in general, because of Milton in general. So luckily it loaded. It's showing the latest still image that just came out at 25 minutes past the hour. So this one just came out at 7:25 p.m. So that was 8 minutes ago. And it still highlights that we have some cloud cover across northern and western Jamaica in the whites, in the greens, as well as the blues represent the high cold cloud tops. And we do see some thunderstorms out to sea to the north of St. Anne and St. Mary. We wish we could see that on the... here we go, because it was glitching out earlier. I reloaded it. It's right here, because we know these radar images are always glitching out. So we can actually make out the rainfall. That's right there to the north of Jamaica. Definitely affecting the waters to the north of St. Mary, to the north of St. Anne. Some of this looks like it's even on land across portions of coastal areas of St. Anne as we speak. We can even make out some rainfall right there to the north of Trelawney, St. James, Hanover. And we can also make out some isolated shores to the southwest of the island. Maybe some of this might make it into portions of southwestern Jamaica later on tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm seeing on the GFS some rainfall in store for portions of southern Jamaica around 2 a.m., 1 a.m. tonight. We'll see how that goes, but we didn't see the consensus from the Euro, so we're not going to be showing that at all. Either way, the Guantanamo Bay Cuban military radar is actually showing the rainfall that we just saw to the north of St. Mary. The greens, the yellows represent a moderate to heavy rainfall, just to confirm what we just saw on the Cuban Doppler radar. Luckily, it worked. And if we take a look at the Cayman radar, we can also make out that rainfall to the north of St. James, Trelawney, and we don't see much happening in and around the Cayman Islands right now, but we do see that moist kind of southerly or southwesterly kind of flow across the region. If we take a look at the live camera from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, this is Crossroads at 7:35 p.m. Definitely dry. We can see some clouds right there, some low level clouds that is right there to the north of Crossroads in general, maybe on top of the hills of St. Andrew. People walking, going about their business, people in their vehicles going about their business. Definitely going to be a fair night for the most part, but who knows what's going to be taking place in the early morning hours across some of these southern parishes. Maybe some isolated showers like what the GFS was forecasting. If we take a look at the temperatures right now, we can see 27 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperature should dip down to about 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look here at the temperature forecast for tomorrow. This map from the GFS is valid for 18th on Tuesday when calculated. That's about 1 p.m. on Tuesday. We can see Jamaica right here. For the most part, embedded in some grays that we know represents average temperatures. That's what we like to see. I know the average temperatures for the month of October across Jamaica are about the same as 89 degrees Fahrenheit. When calculated, 89 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 31.6 degrees Celsius. So look out for some 31.6 degrees Celsius for Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. Either way, we know that we have to try and beat the heat in some way. So stay away from the alcohol or the caffeinated beverages. They can make you dehydrated. Always drink water instead. Put away all of the soda and the sugary drinks. Please ensure that you check in on others, children, the elderly, especially persons with medical conditions. We don't want any heat-related illnesses at this time. And you can never go wrong with the fruits. Always eat a lot of fruits. You can never go wrong with watermelons, apples, and grapes. If we take a look at the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we can see that for the most part the Eastern Caribbean, Northern, South America, Central America and North America definitely in the clear, as all the browns represent the Saharan dust should be across the main development region for the most part. Most of it is still across the water, but some of it is starting to make it into Barbados right here. So they might get in on some hazy skies tomorrow. We know the Saharan dust can be triggering asthma, sinusitis in some persons. And we can definitely see the curl to the dust right here to signal that Leslie is ingesting a lot of the dust as we speak. And it's possibly, responsible for Leslie weakening somewhat as we continue this week. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing the wave heights, the purples all the way up into the oranges. That represents 2 all the way up to 9 meter wave heights. Especially where we have Milton across the Gulf of Mexico. We can see 2 meter wave heights right there, where we have that code yellow to the northeast of the Bahamas. We can still see some high wave heights right there across the northern portion of North Atlantic, all courtesy of what Kirk churned up. And we can also see across the northern portion of the main development region the high wave heights associated with Hurricane Leslie. And that's all because we still have the strong winds associated with these systems. The 25 knots or more that represent all the way up to category 5 status across the Gulf of Mexico associated with Milton. The 25 knots or more associated with that system that has a low chance of development to the northeast of the Bahamas. The 25 knots or more that is associated with Hurricane Leslie spinning around that area of low pressure. It all makes sense. So we don't have that of a strong ridge of high pressure to cause an easterly flow. What we're seeing instead is more of a southeasterly flow across the Eastern Caribbean, more of a southerly flow across the central to the Western Caribbean. And we see the winds are going to be strongest right there across the Western Caribbean. The greens, the yellows, that represents anywhere from 15 to 20 knots. But regarding what's expected across Jamaica, we can see that southerly flow for sure. We see the 5 to 10 knot shades right there. And we can also see that the air is going to be piling up once again across section of some northern parishes in Jamaica. We know what's going to be happening. All of those low-level clouds are going to become mid-level rain clouds, if not upper-level cumulonimbus clouds. So we might just get that same pattern we got today. We just might get it tomorrow as well. As I said before, we're going to be getting that pattern all week, so look out for that. If we're not getting some amount of isolated showers coming off of the sea tonight into early tomorrow morning, maybe tomorrow afternoon, and for sure that afternoon rainfall when we have that daytime heating across northern Jamaica, anywhere from Hanover eastward, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland might get on some of the afternoon rainfall. But southern Jamaica might just get on some of the morning rainfall or throughout the day rainfall as well. So look out for that. And we know southern parishes, we're talking about those parishes on the bottom side of the island, like Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. And what are the rainfall forecast maps projecting? This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing tonight. This is 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 1 a.m. Jamaica time. And we do see the blues represent rainfall in and around the island, especially right there across the southern portions of the island. So look out. Look out for that morning rainfall. Take this forecast with a grain of salt, by the way. It might happen, it might not happen. So don't get upset if you don't get some late night rainfall or early morning rainfall. We'll see how that goes. As of right now, as stated, the Doppler radar images are showing some dots of greens here and there to the south of the island, especially right there to the southwest. We'll see how that goes as the night progresses. Let's see what's in store for tomorrow as the day is hot. We can see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus that we're starting to get in on some of the blues that represent rainfall at around 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is actually 1 p.m. Jamaica time. Across northern Jamaica, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James getting in on some of that rainfall. The Euro model showing blues that represent rainfall across all parishes. But we see the darker blues, we see the sense being made with what the GFS is showing for northern Jamaica. So I'm more inclined to believe what the GFS is showing. More of the rainfall during the afternoon for northern parishes. Then as we progress into the late afternoon, this is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 4 p.m. Jamaica time. We see some rainfall in and around the island. So who knows, maybe we start to get in on some amount of rainfall coming off of the sea, especially for southern Jamaica. We can't rule out some rainfall still affecting northern Jamaica. We'll see how that goes. Either way, both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro right here and the GFS right here are both showing that it's going to be raining somewhere across Jamaica within the next 24 hours. Keep in mind that they're both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but within the next 24 hours, these are the areas that are going to be picking up rainfall. GFS making more sense with the most rainfall across northern Jamaica, with the yellows that represents all the way up to 0.33 of an inch of rainfall. Could be more than that. Euro showing all the way up to 0.28 of an inch of rainfall across Clarendon. We'll see how that goes. Either way, we're grateful. We're in the month of October. We're in the wettest month of the year for the entire island. In Kingston, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the top, we usually receive almost 170 millimeters of rainfall. That's almost 7 inches of rainfall if I'm not mistaken. In Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, during October we usually receive 8.5 inches of rainfall. That's almost 200 and maybe 215 millimeters of rainfall if I'm not mistaken. And I use this little graphic right here to do the calculations myself in terms of rainfall that we usually receive on the rain gauge. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. So you can do the math yourself if you visit weatherandclimate.com to find out about what your specific parish receives throughout the year. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we have some amount of clouds bring some isolated showers to portion of the eastern Caribbean as we speak. The usual afternoon thunderstorms across northern South America, portions of Central America as well. Mexico definitely getting nailed with the outer bands of Milton as we speak. And if we take a look at the northeastern Caribbean's Doppler radar images, let's see what's happening right now. So we can see some greens, we know that represent some light to moderate rainfall in and around the area. Some rainfall to the south of Puerto Rico. Nothing significant taking place right now, but portion of northern Puerto Rico definitely getting in on some amount of heavy rainfall today. The greens, the yellows, the oranges. We can see that we don't have that strong easterly flow at all. The rain bands don't even have a specific direction to go. If we take a look at the Barbados radar, some isolated showers coming in from the southeast may be affecting southeastern Barbados. Most of that has dissipated, maybe some more of that later on tonight. We can see some rain bands right there to the east of the Grenadine Islands. Some of that might make it onshore if not already. You can also see some rainfall to the north of Barbados, to the east of Martinique, east of Dominica right there, east of Guadeloupe, most of which seems to be pushing towards the northwest in that southeasterly flow that we saw on the windy website. And if we take a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see all of the rainfall pushing to the east associated with the trough of low pressure in anticipation of what's to come from Milton. We can also see the rain bands associated with Milton pushing to the north and the east. Around Milton Center, there's definitely a lot of weather happening right here as we speak. We can see some amount of rainfall also affecting portions of Colombia, northwestern and northeastern Venezuela. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing where we're going to be receiving the most in the way of rainfall within the next 24 hours. We see the purples, the pinks that represent anywhere from 3 all the way up to 5 inches of rainfall in store for the waters to the north of the Yucatan associated with Milton. Lots of rainfall in store for portions of the Bahamas, Florida, and with that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with that. While we see more greens, yellows, oranges for a portion of the eastern Caribbean. all the way into the Central Caribbean. So expect some rainfall for portions of Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Martin, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados. You can also see some rainfall in store for portions of Trinidad and Tobago. Scrolling down, we see some rainfall in store for portions of Venezuela, Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and the Yucatan for sure. Don't see much happening for Belize or the Cayman Islands. I wish that both the year and the JFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus or in agreement like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.